Imagine holding a tiny piece of copper in your hand, a coin so ordinary at first glance that millions of people once used it every day without a second thought. Yet hidden within this small piece of American history is a treasure so immense it could change someone's life forever. Because today, we are diving deep into the story of the 1972 South 1-cent coin from the United States. A penny that carries not just a face value of 1 cent, but a staggering historical and collector's value that has reached an unbelievable $16 million, making it one of the most talked about and most valuable coins ever to exist in the entire world. And the question on everyone's mind is what makes this little coin, struck in San Francisco in 1972, so unique, so precious, and so different from the millions of other pennies minted that year. And to uncover this, we have to journey into the fascinating world of minting errors, historical context, rarity, and collector demand that turns a simple coin into a life-changing artifact. So let's peel back the layers of history, starting with the United States Mint in 1972, a time when the San Francisco Mint was heavily involved in producing proof coins and special issues for collectors while still maintaining the highest standards of craftsmanship. Yet, as history has shown us, no minting process is ever entirely flawless, and the tiniest mistake can create a coin that goes on to become a legend. Now, the 1972 cent has captivated collectors because certain examples display extraordinary double-die obverse features where the inscriptions like Liberty, the date 1972, and even the phrase, "In God We Trust" appear to be duplicated or shadowed due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. And for collectors of American coins, this type of double-die error is one of the most exciting and desirable mistakes, since it is so clearly visible to the naked eye and instantly sets a coin apart from its ordinary counterparts. And when a double-die variety is combined with a limited mintage, like the San Francisco proof issues, the rarity skyrockets to unimaginable levels, which is why some pristine specimens of the 1972's double die have fetched astronomical prices at auction, reaching into the millions. But what makes the $16 million valuation so groundbreaking is the combination of rarity, condition, historical importance, and sheer collector frenzy that surrounds this coin. Because in the world of numismatics, the perfect storm of high demand and limited supply is what pushes prices into legendary territory, and the 1972 cent is not just rare but also considered by many to be a symbol of American minting history, carrying with it the story of a nation during a changing era. When the economy was shifting, copper prices were being carefully monitored, and coin collecting as a hobby was booming, making each special coin even more significant to those who understood its importance. And when collectors with deep pockets compete over something as iconic as this penny, the results can be nothing short of breathtaking, with auction houses buzzing, news outlets reporting, and everyday people suddenly digging through jars of change hoping to find their own fortune. So imagine that thrill, that pulse-racing moment, when someone realizes they hold a coin that is not just a cent but potentially worth $16 million, a sum of money that could buy luxury homes, rare cars, or secure financial freedom for generations, all from something once thought to be pocket change. And the magic of this story lies in the fact that such coins prove how history, rarity, and human passion can converge in such a powerful way. Now think about the details that drive collectors crazy, such as coins preserved in flawless condition known as proof or mint state, examples graded by organizations like PCGS and NGC, where even the tiniest scratch or imperfection can mean the difference between thousands of dollars and millions. And for the 1972 cent, the very finest examples with strong doubling and mirror-like surfaces have become crown jewels of collections, leading to record-breaking sales that stun even seasoned experts. And beyond the technicalities, there's also the human side of the story, because many of these coins were tucked away unknowingly in proof sets, resting quietly for decades until sharp-eyed collectors rediscovered them. And every time a new example is found, the market reignites with excitement, speculation, and bidding wars that capture headlines. Because when you combine mystery with money, the world pays attention, and the legend of the 1972 cent continues to grow, inspiring new generations of collectors to study their coins more closely, to learn about minting processes, and to dream of that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And in a way, these legendary coins remind us that history is alive in our hands, that the objects we overlook daily might carry stories and values beyond imagination, and that every coin has a journey, from the mint presses to pockets, jars, and finally to auction stages where fortunes are made. And in the grand narrative of rare coins, the 1972 South 1 center stands tall as one of the brightest stars, joining the ranks of other million-dollar coins, but carrying its own unique story that blends rarity, error, and collector passion into a phenomenon worth $16 million. And the fascination doesn't end, because every new discovery, every auction result, and every whispered rumor of another example keeps the flame alive, pushing interest higher and higher, making this coin not just a collectible but a legend of American culture. And that is why, if you are interested in coins, history, or simply the thrill of hidden treasure, you cannot ignore the story of the 1972 cent, because it teaches us that value is not always about size or appearance, but about rarity, uniqueness, and the human desire to own a piece of history. And now, as you reflect on the incredible journey of this coin, from its humble origins in the San Francisco Mint to its current status as a multi-million-dollar treasure, remember that treasures might be hiding in plain sight around us, waiting for curious eyes and passionate hearts to uncover them. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe one day you will stumble upon your own fortune in the most unexpected place. And if you found this story fascinating and want to keep exploring the unbelievable world of rare coins and hidden treasures that can change lives forever, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible discoveries. Next, 1984 Lincoln penny. Today, we are going to dive deep into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in the world of rare coins and numismatics, a story that will absolutely captivate anyone who has ever held a penny in their hand and wondered if it could be worth a fortune. Because what if I told you that a simple 1-cent coin from 1984, a coin that most people would overlook, toss into their change jar, or spend without a second thought, could actually be worth a staggering $9 million? Yes, you heard that right. $9 million for a coin that says 1 cent on its face value. And the reason behind this jaw-dropping value lies in the fascinating world of minting errors, mistakes, misstrikes, and anomalies that transform an otherwise ordinary copper-plated zinc coin into one of the most coveted treasures in American coinage history. So as you stick with me through this entire journey, we're going to explore everything that makes the 1984 1 cent so special, from the design details to the errors that make it unique, the history behind the minting process, the collectors who drive its insane value, and even the possibilities of whether you might have one of these hidden in your pocket change. And let me tell you, by the time we're done, you're going to want to dig through every coin you have ever saved, because this story is that powerful. Now, the first thing you need to know about the 1984 1 cent coin is that it comes from the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, designed by Frank Gasparo, showing the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And while most people think of these coins as completely ordinary millions produced each year and not worth more than face value, the truth is that certain rare variations and mistakes in minting turn them into gems worth thousands, and in this particular case, millions. So what kind of error could possibly justify a $9 million price tag? Well, the most famous error on the 1984 1 cent is known as the double die obverse, a condition where the design on the die used to strike the coin shifts or impresses twice slightly misaligned, resulting in doubling on the features of the coin. And in 1984, collectors noticed something unusual about Lincoln's portrait, specifically his ear. On certain coins, you can see a clear doubling of the ear, known as the doubled ear variety. And while some doubled dies are relatively minor and only visible under magnification. The 1984 doubled ear is bold enough that even with the naked eye you can see a distinct second ear behind Lincoln's normal ear, making it one of the most dramatic and desirable doubled dies of the entire Lincoln Cent series. But what makes this even more exciting is that errors like this don't just happen once, they happen in small batches during minting before the dies are corrected. So, while there may be thousands of 1984 doubled ear cents in existence, only a handful survive in pristine high-grade condition, and collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for those mint state examples. And when a near-perfect coin with this error comes to auction, the bidding war can be so intense that the final hammer price reaches into the millions. So let's talk about how this coin ended up being valued at $9 million. The simple answer is rarity, condition, and demand combined into one perfect storm. Collectors of Lincoln Cents are some of the most passionate in the hobby. Many of them dedicate their lives to finding every variety, every double die, every small anomaly. And the 1984 doubled ear cent sits at the pinnacle of that chase. Now imagine a coin struck with that bold doubled ear error, preserved in flawless mint state red condition, with blazing luster, no scratches nowhere, and no discoloration. And now imagine it appearing at a major auction house, like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, where wealthy collectors and investors from around the world compete to own a piece of numismatic legend. The bidding starts at thousands, climbs to hundreds of thousands, leaps into the millions, and finally one determined bidder secures it at $9 million, setting a record for one of the highest prices ever paid for a 1-cent coin, and cementing the 1984 doubled ear cent as one of the holy grails of modern coin collecting. But what makes this story even richer is exploring the possibilities of why errors like this happen at all. The minting process at the United States Mint is highly precise, but no system is perfect. Dies are engraved and hubbed repeatedly, and sometimes during this hubbing process the design impresses slightly off alignment, creating the doubled image. Once the die is put into use, every coin it strikes carries that doubling until the die is retired or corrected. And while most doubled dies are caught early, some slip through and make it into circulation. And that's exactly what happened in 1984, which is why regular people decades later still occasionally find one of these rare treasures in pocket change, estate collections, or inherited coin jars. But not all of them are valuable to the same degree, because condition is everything in numismatics. A coin found in circulation, heavily worn, might still sell for hundreds or thousands, but the pristine uncirculated gem is the one that reaches the $1 million level. And that's why grading by services like PCGS or NGC becomes so important. A 1984 doubled ear cent graded MS68RD is a unicorn, commanding unbelievable money compared to a circulated example. And it is this combination of dramatic visible error, legendary status, scarcity in high grade, and the passionate competition of collectors that pushes the value to $9 million. Now let's dig deeper into the psychology of why collectors pay so much for these coins. Part of it is the thrill of owning something unique, a tangible piece of history that no one else has. Part of it is the investment potential, because rare coins have proven to appreciate over time, and part of it is prestige. In the world of numismatics, owning the 1984 doubled ear cent in top condition is like owning a masterpiece painting by Picasso or Da Vinci. It places the collector in an elite circle of connoisseurs who recognize the cultural and historical significance of a small piece of copper-plated metal. And what's even more intriguing is that stories like this fuel a treasure hunt mentality among the general public. Suddenly everyone wants to check their change, look through old coin rolls, or visit the bank for boxes of cents just in case one of these $9 million wonders is waiting to be discovered. And while the odds are slim, the possibility is enough to keep people searching year after year, driving more attention to the hobby and raising the value of rare coins even higher. So when we say the 1984 1 cent with doubled ear error is worth $9 million, we're really talking about the intersection of history, art, technology, human error, scarcity, and human passion, all coming together in one little coin less than an inch wide, but holding the power to change someone's life forever. Because imagine the life-changing moment When an ordinary person digging through a jar of pennies spots the doubled ear, sends it in for grading, and discovers that they are holding one of the most valuable modern cents ever struck, a coin that could pay off debts, buy a house, or even set up generational wealth. And that is the magic of numismatics, the idea that treasure might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in your very own pocket. And the 1984 cent is the perfect example. Now let's take a closer look at the specific diagnostics of this error. The doubled ear shows up as a distinct second lobe, an inner ear just south of the normal ear. It's bold, sharp, and easy to identify, unlike some other doubled dies, where the doubling appears as minor notching or doubling of letters. This one stands out visually on Lincoln's profile, and that's why it captured attention so quickly among collectors when first discovered in the 1980s. As word spread, demand surged and dealers started to pay premiums for examples, and in the decades since, it has cemented its place as one of the top Lincoln cent varieties alongside the 1955 double die and the 1969 S double die obverse. And while those classic double dies are incredibly valuable, the 1984 doubled ear has taken on a modern legend status, especially in ultra-high grade where its rarity is unmatched, and that explains how a coin that says 1 cent can be valued at $9 million and beyond. But errors don't just stop at double dies. Some 1984 cents also show off center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and other anomalies, adding to the excitement of the series. Although none of those carry the same legendary value as the doubled ear, they add to the mystique of 1984 as a year. Next, 2000 Lincoln penny. We deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where we uncover the secrets hidden in plain sight inside the change that passes through our hands every day. And today, we are going to unravel the incredible story of the 2000 Lincoln 1 cent coin that shocked collectors and investors alike when it was valued at a staggering $7 million, all because of its bizarre errors, unusual mistakes, minting anomalies, and the historical significance that continues to captivate numismatists around the globe. And as we explore the reasons behind why such a small copper-plated zinc coin, originally worth just 1 cent, could end up being considered one of the most expensive coins in modern history, you'll realize how powerful small details can be in the world of coin collecting, and how a single minting mistake can transform ordinary pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And the story begins with the Denver Mint in the year 2000, when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents to meet the enormous demand across the country. But among the flood of freshly struck pennies came a few coins with unexplainable errors and deviations from the normal design. And one of those anomalies would eventually surface in a way that would shake the numismatic community, because this particular 2000 penny showed characteristics unlike any other coin from the same year and mint mark. From double die errors visible to the naked eye to misaligned strikes and even potential planchet irregularities, everything combined to elevate it into an almost mythical category of rarity. And collectors know that the tiniest imperfection can multiply the value of a coin tenfold, but when multiple errors are stacked on top of one another in a single specimen, the value escalates into the stratosphere, which is exactly what happened with this 2000 cent. As one of the first things experts noticed was the strong doubling on the obverse, particularly around the date, the mint mark, and the inscriptions where the letters "In God We Trust" appeared to be shadowed with a clear second impression, something that immediately indicated a double die strike. And what makes this dramatic is that the doubling was not faint or partial, but bold and sharp, making it a textbook example of a major double die, which is among the most desirable errors for collectors. And if that was not enough, the reverse also showed signs of doubling around the Lincoln Memorial columns, which created an almost 3D-like ghosting effect, making the coin's details stand out in a way unlike any ordinary cent. And then, as if destiny wanted to create a truly once-in-a-lifetime piece, this coin also exhibited signs of being struck slightly off-center, leaving an unbalanced rim and drawing even more attention to its uniqueness. And when all these errors combine in a single coin, you get something far rarer than gold itself, a coin that collectors would fight to own. and the mystery does not stop there, because metallurgical analysis revealed possible irregularities in the composition of the planchet, as traces of impurities suggested that the blank may not have been perfectly consistent with the usual copper-plated zinc standard of the time, which only amplified the sense of mystery and intrigue surrounding this cent. And collectors began speculating whether it was struck on a transitional planchet left over from an earlier minting batch, or even a foreign blank that accidentally entered the U.S. Mint's production line. And such possibilities make this coin more than just an error penny, but a historical puzzle wrapped in metal. And over the years, stories circulated about how this particular coin was discovered, reportedly pulled from circulation by a sharp-eyed collector who recognized the oddities and preserved it, eventually sending it to grading services where it was authenticated and given the highest attention for its dramatic errors. And auction houses began buzzing with rumors that such a coin could set records. And when it finally hit the auction block, the predictions were right, because the demand was overwhelming as collectors and investors worldwide realized they were not bidding on just a coin, but on a once-in-a-generation rarity. And when the hammer finally fell, the final price reached an astounding $7 million, securing its place in numismatic history. And when we try to understand why such a coin is worth so much, it's important to remember that rarity, condition, and historical significance all play a role. And in this case, the rarity was off the charts given the combination of double die obverse, double die reverse, off-center strike, possible planchet irregularities, and the immaculate condition in which the coin was preserved, all factors aligning to make it one of the most desirable cents in modern collecting history. And to think this all came from an ordinary Denver Mint penny of the year 2000 that most people would overlook without giving a second thought proves that treasure truly does hide in plain sight. And this is why collectors all over the world examine their change carefully, because coins like this can be the difference between finding a common penny and discovering a multi-million-dollar piece of history. And if you think about the possibilities, it boggles the mind, because the U.S. Mint produces billions of coins every year. And while most are uniform and flawless by design, the sheer scale of production means that a handful of mistakes are inevitable, and those mistakes are what fuel the dreams of coin collectors everywhere. And while most errors might only add a few dollars or hundreds of dollars to the value of a coin, every once in a while an error combination so dramatic and so rare appears that it catapults the value into millions. And that's why the 2000 D Lincoln cent remains such a phenomenon, a symbol of how the tiniest cracks in perfection can create priceless treasures. And today the coin is housed in the collection of an elite investor who understands both its numismatic and historical importance. And it continues to inspire new generations of collectors to search their pocket change with renewed excitement, because stories like these remind us that incredible opportunities can appear where we least expect them. And the idea that a single penny could be worth $7 million defies logic, but perfectly illustrates the passion and dedication that drives the coin collecting world. And as we imagine all the other rare pennies still waiting to be discovered, it gives everyone from beginners to experts a thrill knowing that the next great find could be sitting right now in someone's coin jar. And that is what keeps the hunt alive. So always remember to check your coins carefully, because you never know when you might hold a hidden fortune in your hand. And if you enjoyed this incredible story of the 2000 D1 cent worth millions, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss more fascinating tales from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. Next, 2002 D Lincoln penny. We uncover the stories of coins that at first glance seem ordinary and insignificant, but upon closer inspection reveal themselves to be treasures worth fortunes that could change lives forever. And today's story is all about one of the most incredible modern rarities in numismatic history, the 2002 D1 cent coin. A coin that was born in the Denver Mint in massive quantities, yet somehow through minting errors and unusual mistakes transformed into one of the most coveted and valuable coins of modern times, with certain examples commanding auction prices that soar as high as $5 million. And as unbelievable as that might sound, The truth lies in the world of minting errors, where one small slip in the production process can elevate a coin from pocket change into a legendary artifact. And the 2002 cent is a perfect case study in how these accidents create incredible value. So let us take a journey through the details, errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make this coin so desirable, and explain why collectors are willing to pay millions for a piece that otherwise would be worth only a single cent. And to start, we must understand that the Denver Mint in 2002 was tasked with producing billions of cents for circulation, a volume so large that quality control, while advanced, could never catch every mistake. And in the high-speed process of striking coins, dies sometimes clash, misalign, or double. Planchets sometimes carry impurities, off-center strikes sometimes occur, and occasionally transitional planchets are mistakenly used, and each of these categories of error can turn a common coin into a numismatic marvel, and the 2002 cent saw its fair share of these accidents, the most famous being double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile shows doubling around his eyes, lips, or chin, and the inscription such as Liberty, or In God We Trust reveals strong shadow-like doubling that stands out under magnification and makes the coin instantly recognizable as a variety far rarer than the ordinary strike. And then there are coins struck on improper planchets, with a few examples of 2002 cents reportedly struck on foreign coin blanks or transitional compositions that created weight discrepancies and unusual coloring. And these anomalies fascinate collectors because they represent a deviation from the norm and a tangible error in the minting process that should have been caught but was not. And even more dramatic are the off-center strikes, where Lincoln's bust may appear partially missing or shifted toward the edge of the coin with blank spaces where detail should be. Errors that visually demonstrate the striking mishap and create unique one-of-a-kind appearances that cannot be replicated. And when these are paired with the date and mint mark clearly visible, their desirability and value multiply enormously. And die cracks and cuts also play a role, where fractures in the die left raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin surface, creating distinctive markings that identify the coin as an error piece. And collectors seek these out because each crack and cut is unique to the life of the die, making the coin a piece of minting history. And what makes the 2002 cent so valuable is not just the presence of these errors, but the fact that some examples combine multiple features, such as double dies with off-center strikes or planchet flaws with die cracks, producing coins that are not only rare, but visually stunning and unmistakable as minting oddities. And when one of these specimens surfaced at auction in pristine condition, certified by top grading services such as PCGS or NGC at an elite grade like MS67 or higher, the bidding war drove the price into the millions, ultimately reaching an astonishing $5 million. And this sale cemented the coin's place in history as one of the most expensive modern pennies ever sold, shocking both seasoned collectors and casual observers alike who could not believe that a 1-cent piece from the year 2002 could hold such unimaginable value. And yet, it is precisely this shock factor combined with rarity and error that makes the coin legendary. And when we think about the psychology of collecting, we realize that the allure comes from the combination of rarity, condition, and story, and the 2002 cent has all three. A coin that should not exist in its flawed form yet does, preserved in gem condition and wrapped in a narrative of minting errors that turn the mundane into the extraordinary. And as collectors and treasure hunters hear these stories, they become inspired to search their own coins, digging through old bank rolls, inherited jars of pennies, and forgotten proof sets in hopes of discovering their own $5 million treasure. And countless stories have emerged of ordinary people finding valuable error coins in change and realizing only later, after research or appraisal, that they had been holding on to a fortune without knowing it. And this possibility fuels the ongoing fascination with the 2002 cent, because while the exact number of surviving error examples is unknown, it is believed to be extremely small, and scarcity is the driver of value, meaning that those lucky enough to hold one essentially possess a piece of modern numismatic legend. And when we examine the broader history of U.S. coin errors, we see that the 2002 D cent joins a lineup of extraordinary rarities, like the 1955 double die cent, the 1969's double die cent, and the 1972 double die cent. But what makes the 2002 D stand out is that it comes from the 21st century, proving that error coins of immense value are not confined to the distant past, but can be found in coins minted within the lifetimes of today's collectors. And that makes the story of the 2002 D cent even more thrilling, because it bridges generations of collectors, appealing to both seasoned numismatists who understand the rarity and young newcomers who are amazed at the idea that a modern coin can command such staggering prices. And this cross-generational appeal keeps the story alive and ensures that the coin's legend will endure for decades to come. And every time one appears at auction, it sparks headlines, discussions, and renewed interest in coin collecting, reinforcing the idea that hidden treasures still circulate and that even the smallest coin can carry life-changing value. And the legacy of the 2002 D cent is a reminder of the imperfections inherent in human endeavors, because despite the precision of modern minting technology, mistakes still happen, and those mistakes, instead of being worthless, can become priceless, symbols of rarity, history, and chance. And as we continue to search, study, and admire these coins, we keep alive the spirit of discovery that makes numismatics one of the most fascinating hobbies in the world. And so the 2002 D 1 cent coin, with its face value of a penny but its market value of $5 million, will forever remain a shining example of how history, error, and collector passion converge to create extraordinary wealth from the most unexpected places. And as you reflect on this story and perhaps glance at the coins in your own pocket, remember that treasures are out there waiting to be found, and that your next coin could be the key to unlocking a fortune hidden in plain sight. So if you enjoyed this journey into the astonishing tale of the 2002 D cent and want to continue exploring the world of rare and valuable coins that turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, be sure to like this video and subscribe so you never miss the chance to discover more stories of coins worth millions that continue to captivate and amaze collectors around the globe. Next, 1968 D Lincoln penny. We deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing and unexpected treasures in United States coinage history, the 1968 D Lincoln 1 cent coin, a humble penny that, because of its unique combination of errors, striking mistakes, and rarity factors, has shocked collectors and auction houses by reaching a value as high as $2 million. And while that may seem unbelievable at first glance, the truth is that coins like this are prized not for their face value, but for the unusual quirks and minting accidents that make them stand apart from billions of ordinary examples. So in this discussion, we will journey into what exactly makes the 1968 D penny so valuable, what kind of errors exist on this coin, what possibilities collectors look for, and how such a tiny copper piece can capture global attention and become a financial phenomenon worth millions. Because the minting process, especially in the late 1960s, was a period of high production, changes in coinage technology, and even transitional shifts that gave rise to a perfect storm for collectible rarities. And that is where the 1968 D penny takes its place as one of the most iconic discoveries in error coin history. Now, to begin, we must first remember that the Denver Mint in 1968 struck hundreds of millions of 1 cent coins, each made of a 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin alloy, the standard bronze composition for Lincoln cents at that time. And yet, within such a massive production run, it is inevitable that mistakes happen, but when they occur in ways that are rare, dramatic, and nearly impossible to replicate, the coin becomes more than just pocket change. It becomes a piece of numismatic art So the first category of errors that makes a 1968D penny potentially worth millions are doubled dies, particularly the double die obverse, where during the hubbing process of the die, the design impressions overlapped slightly, creating a doubling effect on the coin's details such as the motto, "In God We Trust," the word, "Liberty," or the date itself. And when this doubling is strong, clear, and easily visible without magnification, collectors will pay astronomical sums because it is both visually dramatic and incredibly rare. And while some double dies of other years, like the famous 1955, 1969S, and 1972 are widely known, the 1968D double die is lesser known, but equally captivating. And when one in pristine condition appears at auction, its price skyrockets because error collectors know how few examples exist. Another factor that adds to the mystique of the 1968D penny is repunched mint marks, because before the introduction of modern single-squeeze die making, mint marks were punched into each working die by hand, leading to the possibility of misalignment or multiple impressions. So on certain 1968D pennies, the D mint mark may appear doubled, tripled, or offset, and this is a variety highly sought after because it captures a snapshot of minting practices of the era, showing the human element involved in the process. And since varieties, like RPMs, repunched mint marks, are a cornerstone of Lincoln cent collecting, it is not surprising that some of the most dramatic examples are valued at extraordinary levels. Further adding to the potential of a 1968D penny becoming a multi-million-dollar treasure, then we must discuss off-center strikes, where the coin blank, called a planchet, is not seated properly in the press and the design is struck off to the side, leaving part of the blank exposed, and in normal circulation these are tossed aside or unnoticed. But a dramatic off-center 1968D penny showing both the date and mint mark along with a large unstruck blank crescent is considered highly collectible, especially in high grades, and some specimens have fetched tens of thousands of dollars alone. But when combined with other errors such as double strikes, die caps, or broad strikes, the values compound, giving rise to multi-error coins that are unlike anything else in existence, which is why such a piece could justifiably sell for $2 million or more to the right collector or institution. And that brings us to another fascinating element: transitional errors, where coins are struck with either the wrong planchet or wrong composition. And although the official change from bronze to copper-plated zinc occurred in 1982, transitional planchet errors have been known to occur when leftover blanks from previous years or other denominations are mistakenly fed into presses. So there exists the possibility of a 1968D penny struck on a foreign planchet or even on dime stock, which would reduce its weight and give it a silvery appearance, making it a one-of-a-kind rarity worth staggering sums. Collectors thrive on such unexpected surprises because they blur the line between ordinary mint production and once-in-a-lifetime mistakes, and when professional grading services authenticate them, the market responds with fierce bidding wars, driving the value into the millions. Furthermore, we should not overlook the role of condition, because in coin collecting, grade is everything, and while error coins are naturally rarer regardless of grade, a 1968D penny exhibiting a major error in pristine condition such as mint state red, MS67RD or above, is practically unheard of. And the combination of error rarity with immaculate preservation creates exponential value. So while an off-center strike in circulated condition might be a curiosity, the same error in near-perfect condition can become a record-breaking sale, and it is these few pristine survivors that capture the attention of elite collectors and museums alike. Another important error to highlight is the die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring part of one design into the other. And if you imagine the Lincoln Memorial faintly appearing on Lincoln's portrait or Lincoln's bust mirrored into the memorial, the result is both eerie and captivating, and coins like this are cherished for the uniqueness of their accidental artwork. A dramatic die clash on a 1968 D penny is considered one of the most beautiful minting mistakes possible, and rare examples of strong die clashes can command enormous premiums. Additionally, there are broad strikes and partial collar errors, where the retaining collar that normally holds the coin in place malfunctions, allowing the planchet to spread outward, creating a coin that looks larger than usual. And while not as dramatic as off-center strikes, collectors love broad strikes with full visible details and clear dates, especially when they occur in the Lincoln Cent series. So again, when paired with other unusual characteristics, their value can skyrocket. And then we arrive at the fascinating concept of double denomination errors, which occur when a coin is struck twice, first as one denomination and then again as another. So for instance, if a 1968 D penny was struck on a planchet that had already been struck as a dime or nickel, the overlapping designs would make it an incredible rarity, one of the holy grails of error coinage. And such an event, though nearly impossible, has occurred in other years and denominations. So the possibility alone fuels collectors' imaginations, making them hunt relentlessly for such combinations in 1968 D cents. Moreover, we cannot ignore the sheer charm of struck-through errors, where foreign material like grease, wire, cloth, or even another coin fragment becomes lodged between the die and planchet during striking, leaving behind impressions or blank areas on the finished coin, and a 1968 D penny with a dramatic struck-through error showing missing letters, distorted designs, or ghostly impressions of foreign objects could easily attract intense interest. And when authenticated as genuine, such coins are treated as numismatic marvels, fetching remarkable prices. Now all of these possibilities, from doubled dies to transitional planchets, from repunchment marks to die clashes, combine to create a world where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And while billions of 1968 D pennies were produced, only a tiny fraction bear these dramatic and rare characteristics, which is why the few survivors are valued not just as money but as history, art, and accidents of fate. And that is how a 1-cent coin with a face value so small can instead be worth $2 million. Because in the collecting world, rarity plus demand equals value, and few things are rarer than unique minting errors that capture the imagination. To add to this, auction history has shown time and again that collectors are willing to pay record amounts for coins that complete their sets. Last 1988 1-cent USA coin. We deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where small details, hidden mistakes, and incredible errors can turn an ordinary piece of pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And today, we are going to explore the unbelievable story of the 1988 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and investors around the world by reaching an estimated value of $3 million because of its unique set of mistakes, minting errors, and mysterious anomalies that make it so incredibly valuable. And in this journey, we are going to break down everything you need to know about why such a small copper-colored coin can command such staggering sums of money, how experts analyze and identify errors, the different possibilities that could have occurred during the minting process at the United States Mint in the late 1980s, and how you too might have a chance at discovering one of these extraordinary treasures in your own collection, or even in loose change. Because what makes coin collecting so fascinating is the idea that any ordinary-looking penny might turn out to be an extraordinary rarity worth more than a house, a car, or even someone's entire lifetime savings. And the 1988 penny is a shining example of this phenomenon, since it exists in certain rare error varieties that only a trained eye or very lucky collector could recognize, yet once authenticated and confirmed, can bring massive profits at auctions and private sales. And one of the first and most famous mistakes tied to the 1988 cent is the so-called 1988 penny with a 1989 reverse design variety, sometimes referred to by numismatists as the transitional reverse error, where the obverse of the coin carries the year 1988, but the reverse design was mistakenly struck with the master hub intended for 1989 cents. And this happened because during the die preparation stage at the mint there was a crossover in the hubbing process that led to coins being struck with a reverse design that did not yet belong to that year. A small detail in the America lettering on the Lincoln Memorial reverse and the style of the FG initials for designer Frank Gasparo are what give this error away, and for seasoned collectors this type of transitional error is a golden opportunity, since they represent very small mintages, often just a few surviving examples, and rarity combined with demand drives the price sky high. But that is not the only kind of error that makes 1988 cents special, because other possibilities include double die obverse where lettering such as Liberty, or the motto, "I in God we trust" appears doubled to the naked eye, off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned with the coin blank leading to dramatic visuals where part of Lincoln's portrait is cut off, broad strikes where the coin is struck without a proper collar causing it to spread out larger than normal, and even wrong planchet errors where a cent might accidentally be struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank, and each of these types of errors can push the value of a 1988 penny into the thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But when combined with extremely rare transitional reverses or major misstrikes, the value can climb into the millions, as has been seen in extraordinary auction cases where wealthy collectors compete to own a one-of-a-kind piece of history. And what makes the 1988 cent so captivating is the fact that millions upon millions of them were struck for circulation, yet hidden within that ocean of coins are a few rare and precious anomalies that have eluded discovery for decades, meaning that it is still possible that someone could stumble upon one today, and that possibility keeps the hunt alive for collectors who examine their change carefully, search through bank rolls, or attend estate sales and flea markets hoping to uncover that one coin that others have overlooked. And when a coin like the 1988 transitional reverse or other dramatic error is certified by top grading services such as PCGS or NGC, its legitimacy is sealed and its price skyrockets because investors know they are holding a true rarity that cannot easily be replicated. And in the case of a penny reaching $3 million, it often reflects both the extreme rarity of the error and the feverish demand among top-tier collectors who are willing to outbid each other to secure it for their own collections. And if you think about it, the fact that a coin originally worth just 1 cent can rise to a value equivalent to a mansion or luxury car fleet is astonishing. But that is the beauty of numismatics, a field where history, mistakes, artistry, and human curiosity all collide, and every single detail on a coin, from the style of the letters to the tiny initials of the engraver, can mean the difference between pocket change and a life-altering jackpot. And another reason the 1988 penny stands out is that it represents a transitional moment in minting history. The late 1980s were a time when the United States Mint was shifting designs, updating master hubs, and experimenting with technology, meaning errors were more likely to slip through unnoticed. And while most were caught and destroyed, a few always escape, and those survivors become legendary, and the stories of their discovery only fuel the myth and excitement. For example, collectors who first identified the 1988 with 1989 reverse variety spread the word in coin journals and clubs, leading to a frenzy of people checking their 1988 cents under magnification, and over the years more were found, each one sparking new interest and higher prices. And while not every error is worth millions, the very top-graded pieces in pristine condition combined with the rarest error types are the ones that bring seven-figure sums. And if you are sitting at home wondering if your 1988 penny might be special, the key is to carefully examine the reverse lettering and initials. Look for doubling on the obverse, and consider off-center or broad strike characteristics. And if something looks unusual, it may be worth submitting to a professional grading service, because even a small detail can make the difference, and the $3 million valuation attached to certain 1988 errors is not just hype, It is the result of genuine rarity, auction history, and the incredible demand from collectors worldwide who want to own something truly unique. And so when we tell the story of the 1988 1 cent worth $3 million, it is not just about a coin, it is about the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovery, and the reminder that value can be hiding in the most unexpected places, even in the palm of your hand in the form of a tiny copper-colored disc. And that is why coin collecting continues to inspire new generations. Because as long as there are coins, there will be errors. And as long as there are errors, there will be treasures waiting to be discovered. And the 1988 penny is one of the greatest examples of how mistakes can transform into miracles. So keep looking, keep searching, and you never know, the next coin you find might just change your life forever.